What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Zachary Reality. It is Zachary Reality, and we are here with Naomi, who was recently eliminated on claim to fame. Such a disappointment. HUD totally turned on you. How are we feeling today?
I got over it pretty quickly, honestly. If you want me to go back into the moment, I wasn't joking when I said that I wanted a couple of dull pencils.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I took the evening to feel my feelings, and then I was like, okay, well, nothing we can do about it now, so let's just move on.
Okay, fair enough. I did feel like you were one of the most competitive people in the house, and I felt like there was a lot of strategists, especially with the guys. So you and Mackenzie were like the last two girls standing. Did you kind of feel like a lot of those guys were working together?
Yeah, but I hung out with the guys mostly. I would wake up. I have a really weird habit, like I can't sleep if I can see the sun. So I
Mm.
hate camping. And there was no way for me to black out my window in the house. So I would wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning every morning and go downstairs. And me and Danny and Adam were always like up hours before everybody else just sitting there. So I got along really well with the guys. I didn't really hang out with Mackenzie at all.
Okay, I wasn't sure because it kind of feels like the house might be divided like two different sides. But I also think that getting up early is the way to be involved in all the conversations, get all the tea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like whoever stays in their room the most is doing themselves a disservice.
Yeah, but I was on the other end of that too because I got up at 6. I was one of the first people that always went to bed every night, and Danny and Shane and Dedrick would stay up until like 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's fair. Well, let's talk a little bit about what happened on last night's episode. You must have been pretty shocked when Adam decided to choose you, right?
I was shocked because I knew for a fact he didn't know who I was. I knew for a fact he had no idea who my cousin was, like in real life. And so I was like, he either has it wrong or somebody gave it to him. And I actually accused Shane behind the scenes. I was like, I know it was you. And he was like, no, I didn't. I swear to God. I like didn't believe him until Adam ousted him.
Well, also, didn't Shane tell HUD who told Adam?
He didn't like straight up like I know for a fact that she's Molly Ringwald, but yeah, he was like pretty sure he knew who I was, and then in the interrogation asking the questions, like he felt like 100% confident. And the funny thing is like he didn't mean to like blurt it out like that. He was just so excited that like he wished he would have kept his mouth shut because he
Mhm.
didn't think that that was going to send me home.
And you must have been really shocked during that challenge, the interrogation, when Shane was asking you all those questions that were really direct. What did you think was going on? Like, because Gracie Lou had your clue, but she left. So you probably were so shocked, right? When Shane had like part of the clue.
The only thing that was scaring me is that while I was in there, obviously, I didn't know who was asking the questions. The
Mm,
questions were just coming in. And so I was just like, but I had an inkling, which was the main reason why, besides just me and Adam just started not getting along. But the main reason why I wanted to switch my alliances was because I had a feeling that Shane was on to me. He actually
mm.
mentioned something at the dinner table like a day or two before. And I was like, he either knows who I am or he's about to figure it out. So it was kind of like keep your enemies close kind of a thing.
Mhm.
Like, okay, like he's a smart cookie. And if we start working together, there's still a chance he'll try to take me out. But I think that he'll try to save me for himself. And
Mhm.
so he won't tell anybody unless he's in the bottom two, in which case I'll make it farther. But yeah, that didn't work because he couldn't keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, Shane is definitely your biggest competitor at this point. He's playing a really good game. I feel like he's really smart. He's onto it. But someone who really didn't know what was going on was Adam. And I honestly feel like he cheated when he had your name written on his wrist, written on his hand. I felt like it was cheating. It was one too many seconds where it just was uncomfortable for me. What did you think about that?
I had so much anxiety being up there because like I said, I didn't know for sure. I was like, he's either gonna be way off or he was fed the line. And so that would just made it 1,000 times worse. Like for me, that like couple of seconds, I felt like years where I'm like, just do it. Just rip the band-aid off. Do you know or not? And then when he actually said it, it was like my stomach like fell on the floor. I was like, who told you? Because I knew And actually, that wasn't the first time that he threw his sources under the bus. So I was just waiting for him to tell us who said it. And then when he said HUD, I think people forget because we did talk about it
Mhm.
when we made our like little pseudo alliance, you know? And so everybody, like I'm reading comments and stuff, and everybody's like, why was she sitting there bragging about how she had HUD's clue? Because we literally said it to each other. We were like, we're gonna help each other until we
Mhm.
cannot. Like, I said it out loud. I was like, if it's an us or them situation, obviously, I would never fault you for picking yourself. This is a competition. It's like help each other till we can't. And so that's like what I was trying to explain to Adam last night is like, if it were anybody else, maybe I wouldn't vote for you, but it's between you and HUD. And why would I throw away my one like and I didn't mean it in that like I'm coming for HUD. It was like he knew that. He knew that I was gonna pull they asked me to pull one of their clues. So like what did they think I was gonna do with it? Like nothing.
Yeah. I mean, you can't be mad at HUD just because he was so confident in yours in a way. And you had his clue. So it was like his one chance to kind of get you out before you maybe told more people about his clue.
Yeah, I mean, that was why I was frustrated because I am a really if I straight up say like I'm not showing this to anybody like the I kept there was a line I kept saying that I don't think made it into the edit where I kept saying like I'm not breaking the rules, I'm just kind of bending the rules because what the deal was is that we were going to get each other's clues and then help each other. I didn't have Adam's clue. So it was
Hmm.
like I didn't feel like I was really breaking the rules. I had HUD's clue. So he was the one I felt like I owed my loyalty to because I did make a promise that I would get your clue and help, get us as far as we could. And so on one hand, I obviously don't blame HUD in any way because if I was put in the same position and it was like, okay, if I found out he knew who I was and I could get rid of him, I would have gotten rid of him. I
Hmm.
probably would have given his clue to Adam that night if I had found out that HUD actually knew who I was. But on the other hand, I did make a promise and I said I'd never show it to him unless I was on the chopping block, and I definitely would have kept that promise. But all is fair
Yeah.
in love and war and claim to fame.
Fair enough. With Adam, it's a little frustrating because he is so all over the place. He doesn't really know what's going on. He's kind of being used as a pawn. And we saw this week he really got on a lot of people's nerves, especially yours towards the end. It was like your patience was so tested. Do you think that maybe if you just appeased him a little bit longer, he wouldn't have turned on you so quickly and HUD wouldn't have turned on you so quickly?
No. I try honestly, I sat and I thought about it for I don't know how long, like, because we're sequestered in a hotel room. They don't want they're
Yeah.
very, very good at making sure that there's no way that we can Google anything or cheat, and it's very fair. So I sat there in that hotel room after I went home and was like, could I have done things differently? And in that moment, no, I don't think that I could because I don't know, they didn't tell us our scores. I don't know how many of my questions I got right. So he was asking for HUD's clue, like HUD's answers. And I obviously got some of them wrong because at the time I didn't know who he was.
Hmm.
And so I was all confident, like, oh, I know exactly who this is. I'm getting all these right. So Adam was going to get wrong answers anyway if I would have
Yeah.
shared them with him. So that wouldn't have helped him. He probably would have been in the bottom two still, and HUD wouldn't have been in the bottom two still. And even if I would have voted for HUD instead of Adam, then then HUD would have used me. And I think that regardless, I think HUD was going to give me to him. So the only thing that could have changed it was either not being in alliance with the two of them or Shane keeping his mouth shut. So I think
Yeah.
just at that point there was no going back.
Yeah, because it did kind of look like you stormed out of the room, and that was like, okay, well, now I have an idea that just all of a sudden.
That's why I stormed out of the room because I was like, you are yelling at me. You are like stressing me out. I don't feel like I did anything wrong in this moment. And you're so mad that I'm going to walk away before like, all of this anxiety that you have because you put yourself in the bottom two transfers over to me. I'm going to take myself out of the situation. He's a
Mm,
very anxious person. And he was
yeah.
always making me anxious like that. And I was always telling him like, calm down.
Yeah. I wonder what will happen with Adam next. Like maybe they'll all get rid of him, or maybe they want to keep using him as long as they possibly could. Is there anyone you're rooting for now as a viewer or when you left the house that you kind of want to see go far?
Actually, yeah, when I left the house, Danny and Shane were who I really wanted to see make it to the top 3. So we'll have to see if they make it.
Yeah. And your celebrity was revealed as Molly Ringwald, your cousin. Can you tell me a little bit about like your relationship with her and what did she think about you going on the show?
She's my cousin. When I was 13, I moved in with her parents. We are obviously like very cousiny, but living with like, so close with her family, like me and Molly and her brother and sister, we were just a lot closer than I was with like my other cousins.
Hmm.
And so I never truly felt like we were siblings because I was old enough to understand like I had actual siblings and they weren't my actual siblings. But I looked at her parents kind of as pseudo like my parents. My mom left when I was 7. She hasn't been in my life like my entire life. So I see her mom as like more of a mother figure than I even do my own. And then when I was a teenager, I didn't know if I wanted to try going to college yet or if I wanted to take a gap year or what I wanted to do. And so, she made me a really amazing offer. She was like, why don't you move down to LA and come stay with me and my husband and the kids and like just see what you want to do. And it ended up being like almost 3 of like the best years of my life. I got to travel the world. Like I went to Greece like 4 or 5 times. Her husband is Greek and his family owns homes there. And was so much fun and so many amazing things and so many amazing people and things I never would have been able to do without her. So I'm so grateful for every memory she's given me.
That's
And
amazing.
she doesn't watch a lot of reality TV. So I had to kind of explain the concept. I was like, it's like a mixture of like Survivor and like Clue, basically. Because the one thing that she said when I approached her, because I wanted her permission before I even started the process of seeing if I was going to get cast, all she said was like, are they going to ask like a lot of like personal questions about me? Like, is it going to be like invasive? And I was like, I don't think so. I was like, I think the point is like to not tell people who you are. So I think you're good. So once I explained to her exactly how the show works, she was all for it. She was super comfortable and our family is really competitive. So she was like strategizing with me about like the perfect stories that I could tell
Mhm.
and which ones would not give away any like familial clues or even telling me to like delete all my family members off of Facebook and stuff just in case
Mhm.
they started like looking for me and stuff. It was a lot of fun getting ready with her.
Yeah. Did you apply yourself or did they scout you?
They found me. Yeah. I have 3 kids. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I was, it took me like a good week or 2 to even say, yeah, I want to move forward with the process. I was like, can I even do this? Like, who would watch my kids while I was gone? Like, how would I be able to do this? And then once I have, my best friend was the one that offered. They were like, I will come and I will watch the kids. You won't have to worry about anything. And so once I had everything figured out, I was like, am I really going to do this? But I'm really glad I did. It felt like a dream.
And what was it about Claim to Fame that made you want to do this? Was it just like to have that time for yourself? What about it like intrigued you?
I'm going to be honest. In the show, I have a bad habit. That was my strategy, by the way. So, just for anybody watching, I don't think I'm the smartest person in the world. That was literally my strategy to try to make everybody think I was smarter than I was, because
Hmm.
I don't think anybody was confident enough that they wanted to take the chance of like, is she as smart as she says she is? Like, do I want to put her up there and possibly have her guess me? No, like, let's just not put her up there.
Hmm.
But I do know a lot of useless pop culture knowledge, which seemed useless. And as soon as I got this opportunity, I was like, I might be really good at this. Like,
Hmm.
I know so much about so much, and I would get made fun of by like family members and friends where they're like, why do you know that? Like, why is that relevant? And I'm like, because I Google things when I'm bored. So yeah, being a full-time mom to small children who take up like all of your time, it seemed really attractive and also scary because I'm not good at like letting go of control. So I did think like, you know what? It's basically like a free vacation from my
Hmm.
kids where I don't have to worry about them and I know that they're safe and I could possibly make a lot of money and I thought it would be really fun. I honestly thought that I had enough knowledge that given like, the right circumstances, I thought I could win. And I still think I could have. I just think it wasn't in the cards the way it played out.
You could have won. For a minute, I thought you were going to. Now I think that Shane is going to win, but of course, no spoilers. Do want to ask why Shane has the chicken wing as a necklace again. I know it was in like an earlier challenge, but can you remind me?
I don't actually think he has said, so I'm going to let him tell every
Oh, okay. I thought it was in a challenge, but maybe not. But I was like curious why he was wearing this chicken wing.
I'm obsessed with it. I will say that. I love
Mhm,
it. And I don't know if this was shown on camera, but the first day I kept getting his name wrong and I kept calling him Sean.
mm,
And he wouldn't correct me. So it was really embarrassing because I kept saying Sean and they'd go, "Who is Sean?" And I'm like,
mhm,
"That guy with the chicken." And they're like, "His name is Shane." And
mm,
so to memorize his name, I kept saying Chicken Wang Shane.
mm.
So I did call him that for like 3 days until I could actually remember that his name was not Sean.
Understandable. Last question. If you were to be the guesser, who would you have guessed at this stage in the game? Who would you have chose up there?
Honestly, and people keep saying that like I would have either gone for HUD or I really, really did think that Dedrick was Michael Jackson.
Mhm,
Um, he did say that in the kitchen. The reason why nobody is confident yet and why we don't know if it's true is because there were so many clues and they could all be tracked to something else,
mhm,
like I was actually the first person that said he could be Little Richard because we were trying to figure out like, okay, best rock song. So
mhm,
who's known for like being like, a rock legend? And then we're like, hmm. And then I also thought he could be Prince though.
mhm.
And then people kept throwing around Lenny Kravitz all the time. So it was it was just the fact that like when he did say that, Mr. Jackson, I did tell Adam and HUD and they were like, he could have done that on purpose. And so
Yeah.
you're so paranoid in that situation that I don't know. So probably, I probably actually would have gone for HUD because he was the only
Wow.
clue that I had for sure. Because you question nobody was confident. Everybody says go with your gut. Nobody went with their gut. We were all constantly questioning ourselves and everybody else.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, you would probably wanna go with what you're most confident in, and because it's better to get, like, eliminated the way you were than to guess and guess wrong. Like, then you have to, like, live with that mistake. Like, at least with you, it was, like, up to fate.
Yeah, I know. I was bitter about that for a full 24 hours. I was like, I was never even in the bottom two. I was doing good.
Yeah, and then how did you decide that, like, you were no longer mad about it? Like, it was just there was no time to be mad anymore?
No, because I just have this philosophy with life that what is it? The serenity prayer, like accept the things that you cannot change. Like
Mhm.
why sit there and be resentful and angry over something that there's literally nothing you can do about? And I told myself that night. I'm like I'm going to give myself tonight to just be like unreasonably angry and resentful and then I'm just not going to let it affect me. And I'm really glad that I did because the whole cast is friends. Like we,
Mhm.
we have a group chat, we talk every single day. Like I have a feeling that we're all going to be friends for a really long time. And if I would have let that affect me, then I would have lost out on, like some friends
Yeah.
and some, amazing experiences. And so I just figured like, don't be a petty Betty and don't be bitter.
Yeah. Well, I will say that it was so much fun to watch you. You had really funny confessionals. I loved your sarcasm. You definitely were a threat, and I think that's why you went home early. But I look forward to seeing you in the finale. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking a little bit about your game. Where can everybody find you, follow you? What do you want to lead us off with?
I'm on Insta and I'm on TikTok. I just started an Instagram, so it's super cute with like 70 followers.
Slay.
Getting like I'm so popular.
Oh my God. Claim to fame.
And N. Eliza Jane on TikTok and Instagram. And I do more on TikTok. Sometimes the funny thing is like I was really excited to talk to you because we all watch your TikToks like when we
Oh
were
my God.
preparing for it to air and you were like, "Oh my God, Claim to Fame is coming." We were like, "Look at this video." And we were like sending it to each other in the group chat. So
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, "I want to talk to him."
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do still have to post my TikTok recap of last night's episode where I need to claim that Adam cheated. So we'll see what the fans say about it, but that is my opinion. Thank you so much for coming on. It was so nice to chat. And thank you all so much for watching and listening. And we will see you next week with another interview. Bye, guys.